Good evening and welcome to Resource PNG. On the show we continue with our third series of documentaries sponsored by the Chamber of Mines and Petroleum to highlight the scope of resource industry activities in the country. Tonight we look at oil production in PNG. We look at oil fields from Kutubu to newer fields from Moran, Gobe and southeast Mananda. We also take a look at one company that has been synonymous with oil production in the past decade, Oil Search Limited. We see how the company has grown since buying out and taking over operatorship from Chevron New Guinea in 2003. PNG's oil fields stretch from the original discovery at Kutubu to newer fields in Moran, Gobe and southeast Mananda. The production facilities are linked by a pipeline all the way to the Kumul export terminal in the Gulf of Papua. Since oil production began in 1992, output has been declining steadily. From a peak of about 150,000 barrels a day, output has now fallen to around 30,000 barrels. The industry remains in robust shape because of the leap in prices to over $100 a barrel, and because much of the oil area is about to be integrated into a much larger liquefied natural gas project that is due to commence exports next year. In the past decade, oil and gas production in Papua New Guinea has been synonymous with one company, Oil Search Limited. This followed a number of takeovers since the 1980s, culminating in the purchase of oil assets owned by Chevron New Guinea in October 2003.
Buying Chevron out and investing money into those oil fields saw a significant increase in production and an arresting of the decline. So since that time, we've added around 100 million barrels of extra resource and added probably 30 or 40 years of oil life to those oil fields. I looked at how much tax had been paid by ourselves and our joint venture partners since oil production started in 1992, and it's close to $15 billion in direct and indirect taxation. And I suppose I share the frustration sometimes with our landowners that says, well, actually have not seen too much happen out in the areas around our operations, in the oil field areas or gas field areas and hides. And reality is money has been put into the system. It has been distributed in part to where it should go. Unfortunately, we've not seen quite enough traction with the delivery of extra services and infrastructure on the ground. And that clearly is a concern to us, and we do a number of things to help. We clearly think that tax credit projects that deliver schools and hospitals and roads, etc., have been a very good way of delivering infrastructure, efficient way of doing that in our local area.
The discovery of an additional 20 billion kina worth of oil has been of great benefit, not only to Oil Search but also to Papua New Guinea.
The oil business makes up about 15% of the total economy in PNG. The export revenue is about 15% of the total economy. Right. That'll almost quadruple with the development of PNG LNG. So it's a very significant, will be very, very significant business in changing this country and the fortunes of Oil Search. The reality is that Oil Search is now a significant LNG owner. It owns 29% of PNG LNG. It continues to have around 60% ownership of the oil fields and will contribute, those oil fields will contribute about 20% of the gas into PNG LNG. Right. So we have spent in PNG since 2003, since taking over operatorship, about 15 billion kina since that time in developing the oil fields and subsequently PNG LNG. And we anticipate that our future investments out to 2020 are probably going to be about the same order of magnitude. Clearly, the government own 15% of the company, and the government have taken the benefits of Oil Search's growth over the years, and we've provided them with something since we did the merger with Origin Minerals, a 640% return on their investment since 2003. An enormous return. I think it would be one that would be difficult to beat in other investments that they may have made.
Kutubu was discovered in 1986 and began production in 1992. Following the subsequent discovery of Moran, Gobe and Mananda, these oil fields have been at the heart of PNG's oil production. Oil Search became operator of these fields in 2003, where it purchased the equity held by the US multinational company Chevron. This happened after the only other bidder from the Middle East had pulled out. Today, Oil Search manages all PNG's oil fields.
I look after all of the production sites and facilities across Oil Search operations, from Hides through to Kutubu, Gobe and the marine terminal. We've got around about 115 oil wells across the operation.
So what kind of numbers are you looking at?
The plant itself was designed for 120,000 barrels per day and 180 million standard cubic feet of gas per day, with 20,000 barrels of water production per day. At the moment, we're just averaging around 30,000 barrels per day now, and it has been just basically natural decline of the reservoir that where we're producing our fields from.
The control room may look small, but don't let that fool you. This place monitors and controls everything from the wellheads all the way down to the loading dock at the Kumul terminal. With the touch of a button, there can be drastic impact.
No, this is the main one, Facility ESD. That button, when you switch it on, it shuts the whole place down. There's a little button here, but it's got a lot of action on it. So we don't normally touch it, unless otherwise it's deemed necessary for us to touch that button.
More of this documentary after the break. Welcome back. In this segment, we look at the process of oil production. The oil from the oil field wellheads enters the system through inlets. It goes through a slug catcher to enable a consistent flow into the production facility.
Slug catcher is primarily to stabilize the flow into the plant.
From here, it is sent to the free phase separator. The separator splits up the contents using gravity. Gas, being lighter, floats up to the top of the vessel, crude oil in the middle and water at the bottom.
Those are the vessels. There's nothing complicated. It's just based on retention time. It separates oil, gas and water based on the properties, the densities. Now we're interested in oil, so oil gets into the stabilizers. Okay, this is the operating stabilizer we have right now. Cold crude goes into the stabilizer. We have a furnace that heats up the crude. When we heat up the crude, it vaporizes lightens in the crude, and that stabilizes the crude for export.
A couple of upgrades that we've done in the production facility includes new dehydration packages. We also have what we're calling the gas commissioning unit. That is a unit that will be used for the first gas into the export into the LNG gas plant.
Now that oil is priced at $100 a barrel and PNG's production is in steady decline, one of the major challenges facing Oil Search is the task of finding more oil in its operating areas. The price tag on failure is immense because every single development well can cost 150 million kina or more. Part of the exploration success comes with the so-called wildcat wells that target new discoveries. The Oil Search success also comes from areas close to current operations and stepping out into smaller nearby pools of oil. The recent Mananda 5 discovery will add an estimated 15,000 barrels per day to production in the next 3 to 4 years. However, step-out wells such as the one recently completed at Usano helps to moderate falling output by finding new oil pools that are quickly brought into production. And what goes into drilling?
Hello, my name's Wally Jackenchuk. I'm the Senior Drilling Supervisor for Oil Search here at this particular location.
Rigs are worked all year round. As a drilling supervisor, Wally Jackenchuk's day starts early, very, very early.
My day would start around about 4:30, have breakfast, I'd be on location at 5 o'clock in the morning. You go through all the reports and activities from the previous night, address those, then we've got look-aheads that we've got to get out to all the management and the reports. Then we have our 5:30 meeting with the crews, discussing the day's operations.
Then emails and walkthroughs around the rig before the next crew change at 11:30 a.m.
We have another meeting, a pre-tower meeting, again with the next crew that come on at noon, and that goes at 11:30 or starts at 11:30. And through the day, there's day-to-day operations that are going on and addressing different businesses.
The rig is a 24-hour operation. Workers and equipment are always moving, either being brought in or taken out. Sometimes the rigs are supported by a road network. Production of first oil from Kutubu was an exciting time for PNG. It followed more than 6 decades of exploration. The discovery represented a world-scale find of 300 million barrels, a figure that was bypassed some years ago. Despite the high level of optimism, PNG output faced a steady decline, even though new fields were found at Gobe, Moran and Mananda. Although Oil Search only took over the oil fields in 2003, the company was the first in PNG to commence production of hydrocarbons. In 1991, it began to produce gas from the Hides field to help generate power for the Porgera gold mine. This supply continues even today, more than 2 decades later. For some years, the Hides operation, the oldest oil and gas facility in PNG, has been run entirely by Papua New Guineans. At the Hides operation, the entire team of Papua New Guineans is led by Mapia Olewala, a nephew of the late Premier of Western Province.
The operation is run by nationals. It's very significant to national supervisors because we come from various cultural backgrounds and try to work together as a team. With a national running the place, it's so much easy, and you can also resolve a lot of conflict of interest within the work group and get the maximum out of the guys to do a better job every time here.
Oil Search has an illustrious history in PNG. It is the only major resource company with its head office in Port Moresby.
Well, it's been a long journey, and in the early years, the challenges of logistics and getting around Papua New Guinea, understanding what the geology was and the basics to find oil and gas was really very, very challenging. Many of the original pioneers spent years out in the field walking with a group of national supporters and people who helped them, and walked many, many kilometres through the jungle trying to establish whether oil and gas was here. Very, very difficult terrain, very difficult logistics and support, and without air support specifically in the early years, really very, very challenging. They were true heroes and heroines of pioneering oil and gas exploration. After the Second World War through to 1961 or 62, every year Oil Search shareholders had to dip into their pockets to help fund that exploration. Right. And Oil Search went from low equities to high equities and back to low equities as work was carried out. Clearly in PNG, the first major gas discoveries were made in the 80s at Juha, at Pinyang and at Hides. And of course, because of the remoteness of those fields, it's taken a long time for a commercial path to bring money into and develop those resources, it's taken a long time to get to that stage. We're just now seeing that with LNG. Oil was discovered in the mid-80s, and of course Kutubu was developed in a very, very, very world-class way by Chevron New Guinea at the time, and oil production started in 1992. Oil production was very strong at that time, but more recently, obviously, with decline and the lack of discoveries of oil since that time, production's dropped. But for Oil Search, firstly, the production of oil in 1992 was a big step. We were a 200 million market cap company, very small company owning about 7% of the oil business at that time.
Right.
With subsequent acquisitions ploughing the money that we made out of Kutubu back into country, we've grown the business by acquiring BP's assets and then Chevron's assets and taking over operatorship. And they were major milestones that have driven to the company to where it's now a $10 billion market cap company and one of the most successful companies on the ASX.
Resource PNG continues when we return. Continuing our third feature in a series of documentaries sponsored by the Chamber of Mines and Petroleum, in this next segment we look at the work of Oil Search and Community Affairs under the tax credit scheme. Peter Botten now heads up a company that has grown some 50-fold in 2 decades. He spends considerable time in Australia and internationally promoting the company, but he is well known in the remote villages from Hides and Kutubu to Gobe. Oil Search plays a very active role in the local community affairs and is closely involved with agriculture, health and education for more than 70,000 people in its footprint area.
My name is Paul Sapake. I am the Community Affairs Field Manager, responsible for the community affairs activities within Oil Search operations, covering Heights, Kutubu, Moran, Southeast Mananda, rolling down to Gobe, PDL 3 and 4, the pipeline, villages, PL2, all the way to Kopi, Kikori area, and ends down at Kumul Terminal. So we cover a whole lot of areas with different distinct groups, 4 different provinces. The 4th one is the Western, which is going back to the west. We've had some projects around that area as well, but it's 4 districts covering 10 LLGs and more than 300 villages. So you see where we operate, and some of these villages are remote, only accessible by helicopter, twin order. Other villages we travel long distances by road and by river system, river trucks. According to our records of last year's statistics, it's a 70,000 plus population covering areas from Hides all the way to Kikori and some parts of Western Province.
Oil Search has carried out a number of community projects as part of its tax credit scheme, including the construction of several schools. The Kutubu High School, established in 1999 with 2 classes of 40 students each. The school grew over the years, and by early 2012 it accommodated 300 students. But with the introduction of free education, the number of the students has increased by almost 50% to the 500 mark. Today this high school boasts a number of facilities, which include a 2-story science laboratory, a library, dormitories for students and 10 classrooms. In the years to come, the school board aims to develop a secondary school as well. Oil Search's contribution has been integral in the school's development.
Oil Search is a partner in the development of this nation. Oil Search, though the bottom line is to make money for its shareholders and its joint venture partners, but at the same time, all sets through a mutual cooperation and mutual understanding with the people. Oil sets, similarly with any other developers that come into Papua New Guinea, not necessarily in Kutubu but elsewhere in Papua New Guinea, are here to make money for the shareholders, and at the same time they pay tax to the government. And it is the government that are there to deliver to the people what is rightfully deserved for the people. And I thank all sets for taking at least Kutubu High School a step further to the National Department of Planning as well as IRC. And now we are going through the third stage of Kutubu High School. We're putting up a few more houses for the teachers here. The structures that you can see here are funded through the tax credit scheme, which the National Department of Education and IRC, as well as the Southern Highlands Provincial Government, have always, in their consultation process, agreed and approved to fund tax credit scheme projects in the project area, project impacted regions, as well as anywhere else in Papua New Guinea. At the same time, developers, operators must realize that when the government alone cannot deliver people's expectations, we need help from developers, from operators, from NGOs. That is the way to go forward.
But Kutubu High School is not the only educational institution that benefits from Oil Search's projects for the community. The Meloba Elementary School in Hides has been constructed and funded by Oil Search. Local schools in Hides collect fuel on a regular basis from Oil Search.
My name is Mr. Mark Harabe. I'm the headmaster of Hoyebia High School in Tari, Helapro. I'm very proud, thank you, to mention that Oil Search has been continuously helping us. And over the last 7 years, we have been receiving 400 liters of fuel every month all throughout the year, and that is free of charge. That's a community, from the Community Affairs Division of the Oil Church in here. Actually, apart from the fuel donations, they do also give books and library books, and they do visit schools and find out what need we have through the Community Affairs.
Yet another school built about 3 years ago by Oil Search is the Ayo Community School.
Do you have school now? No, we have a sole reason why we are at the school. And I enjoy teaching because it's a career that I've decided to choose. So no matter in the bush, across the river, I still have to go. Save the souls who are far behind the mountains. So this is, in my career, I did not go elsewhere in the towns or near to the towns. I served mostly in Kutubu.
More when we come back.
Does residual spraying. There was the number of deaths for malaria was quite high, and after that, for a number of years now, that percentage has fallen way down. About 70%. The spraying program has been very successful, and we continue to do so, and I'm glad to say that there's no further death from malaria.
My nature of work is in the area of HIV and AIDS, and I am a program officer with AllSets, representing the public health with AllSets. We provide training to the local nurses, and training meaning that we train them in all basic HIV information, and that leading to nurses being selected in those health facilities to come to be trained under the health department to prescribe HIV medicine. And my role is to provide supervise the staff and continuously mentor them on this HIV medicine, care and counseling and treatment, and education, especially in awareness to the community. The maternal child death, the 5 years I've been here, we haven't come across any mom that died. I'm privileged to work for a company that has moved into the community where transport accessibility and drug accessibility, those things were not. I came here 5 years, like 7 years I've been with the company, and I see that those are the things that hindered the health of people in general. And when the company is providing that, it's like HIV program was never one of the programs. It was there, but as we say, it's new. But the MCH, we're providing them with transport, they go out. So I see that what the company is doing is empowering the nurses, as well as accessibility to treatment is for the people in general is good, has improved.
And I've been working here for 27 years at this center. With our MCH work, I believe we've improved a lot with the children's clinic and antenatal mothers, family planning. And when this visit is set up through, we see there's a lot coming, and which is good.
Today I'm happy to sit here and tell you that Health Foundation is based in Tari, and I am happy that there were needs out there. We couldn't go, but now the Health Foundation is taking care of Ella, and Ella are 3 districts, and Ella team are addressing that, and also Morobay province.
In order to ensure nothing comes in the way of good health service delivery, AllSearch through their tax credit scheme has constructed homes for nurses working at the Juni clinic. Nurses say their work standard has improved after moving into their new homes. For one of them, it is her first time to live in a permanent house, after 20 years of service in the health sector, working out of the village settings. Anna Kambara has been working as a community health worker for over 20 years. It's a new and exciting experience for her and her family, who are used to living in traditional style housing. Mrs. Kambara and fellow nurse Miriam Guy moved into their new homes in December of 2012. Mrs. Guy has been working in Juni Clinic since 2000. She lives in her new house with her husband and their 5 children.
Yeah, well, I'm very proud to have that new house, which has given me easy life. I moved in last year, December, and I'm very proud and thankful to AllSearch and tax credit scheme and GDC, Gigira.
AllSearch employed the services of Gigira Development Company, a landowner company, to help build the nurses their new homes.
But we had built so many classrooms and the staff houses, as well as the maintenance of the staff health facilities throughout the Hela region, which extended from Purani, Hiwanda, Idawi, Juni, which is here, and then to Komo Manada.
Pen mikanda. Slow pain marsin salwe amaslo price.
The Marasin Storekeeper program is a unique and innovative approach to providing early diagnosis and treatment in rural parts of Papua New Guinea. By training village ladies, All Search has created immediate access to malaria, testing and treatment. Village treatment providers in Papua New Guinea, usually are women, are known as Morrison storekeepers. They are trained in basic malaria diagnosis using a rapid diagnostic kit and supply pre-packaged malaria medication. The All Search Health Foundation supplies them with color-coded dosages to ensure accurate dosing. This is especially important for children. With access to health centers often challenging, the Morrison storekeeper is easily accessible for quick diagnosis and treatment. This social business model not only provides life-saving malaria treatment close to home, but also aids in meeting social development goals like reducing poverty and improving gender equality. The All Search Health Foundation established and leads the Morrison Storekeeper or MSK program in the Kutubu area in the Southern Highlands. It is now being rolled out in other areas in Papua New Guinea. Traditionally in PNG, food is mainly produced through subsistence farming. However, this is changing as the population increases and urbanization adds pressure on traditional food security systems, threatening quality of life and health as well as the environment. A focus of All Search's community affairs activities is therefore supporting the establishment of sustainable agricultural enterprises. These enterprises, particularly those run by women, align themselves with All Search's multiple sustainable development priorities, including improved food security, economic development, conservation, and health. All Search provides governance to local groups to help them form business cooperatives so they can commercialize agricultural activities using their surplus produce. They also provide these cooperatives with startup material and skills training to help carry out various farming and husbandry activities.
Also, they found him money glo CDI. That's an NGO, which also found him this la NGO. Now, also found him la money. Emsa Kambeglo or organization group. Who said they organized? Na stablo this la oil field. Na mibla sa go give him a profile blo mibla. Through that, or look na come help him mibla lo kain can training. Kindness me health, how lo cook him nutrition, cook him good like ye. So mabim said, kindness misla said, come. Kindness misla said, where a local mother never saw this type of collar set. Now I'm so mabim misla collar set. And so then said, mibla so mabim, all see the line mibla na mibla so mabim. Now that's her mother there. She's one of the coordinator. That's a 4,000. I'm so mabim misla said. Now, kaino some old mama ino sabelo wogum misla all save na all ending money income lo all yet. Now also has been training me bla sambla how lo managing money. Lo because funds me bla organizing group na me bla wogum misla walk me bla sa throw me money picnic that's all. That's why also see organizing one bla training bla me bla lo inu na melo lake na me bla bin all bidi bla also come na line me bla lo how lo managing money. But it should be 3 weeks because a local lady can learn so much, but Mibla line him just 1 week. And Big Black School, Mibla can line him. MOSM. So that's how we work. And Mibla form a cooperative society. That cooperative society, Mibla call him Kutubu for Women Cooperative Society.
All Search also helps these groups to transport their produce to markets and assist them with brokering supply contracts with camps run by All Search and other partners. This gives growers a reliable income source and the ability to invest in their enterprises.
Resource PNG continues after the break.
You're back with Resource PNG. We look at Oil Search's environmental management system and how the company is embarking on their next big step by venturing into the PNG LNG project as the second largest equity holder. We hear from Managing Director Peter Botten how the company will balance gas and oil production and how 30 to 40 years of resource life will be added to the business. Oil Search's environment management system in PNG meets international standards and is ISO certified. To ensure continuous improvement, the system undergoes a regular compliance review and internal audit and is continuously updated. Oil Search's compliance with certification standards is confirmed by independent external auditors every year. One look at Oil Search's project impact areas and you see that the environmental footprint is minimal.
Okay, my name is Jerry Farejo with the Environment Department. I'm currently working as the Environment System Specialist. My role mainly is effectively trying to maintain ISO 14001, which is an international recognized standard, which satisfies our environmental management systems against an international standard, which is the 14001 standard. Normally with the certification process, it's quite difficult. You have to make sure that your systems are well established before you seek ISO certification. So it took us about 2 to 3 years, and eventually in 2009, we applied for an accredited body, that is NCSI Australia, to come in and certify our management system. The certification was quite important for Oil Search, in which it just further makes a statement to the global community that Oil Search is really serious about protecting its environment. And now we're actually trying to show that by certifying to an environmental management system which is internationally recognized, which is the ISO 14001. So it was quite a significant gain for Oil Search. The government gives us certain licenses in which we operate. For Oil Search, apart from complying with all those different conditions within the DEC permit, we do extensive monitoring programs, mainly for our biggest operation, which is drilling. So for every drilling location, we do environmental monitoring, mainly of the water quality, and at the same time, we do our normal audits and inspections to make sure that our actual drilling programs are within the environmental management plans, which are endorsed by the Department of Environment and Conservation. Yeah. So apart from that, we also do an extensive rehabilitation program. So after our drilling programs are completed, we go in and we further rehabilitate the place if there is a possibility to rehabilitate. We try to encourage natural regeneration. So when we're drilling an actual location for a wildcat, which is a new exploration well, we clear the topsoil off, we stockpile it, so that after the program is complete, we bring back the topsoil. So we try to encourage natural regeneration. Okay, and if that doesn't go well, we try to rehabilitate as much as possible to bring back the land back to its natural habitat. Yeah.
Oil Search is embarking on the next step in their history. They are venturing into gas. That is a very major step, but their management has every belief that this team can do it.
When I first joined, we had the challenge of very low oil prices, and so we were struggling to cut costs in that low price environment. But just within a few months, we began seeing that the PNG LNG project really was going to take off, and so the rest of the journey has been preparing the organization for PNG LNG. The work is not done yet. There's still a lot to go until we're ready for first gas. But the team is diligently working, and I know Oil Search will achieve. This is a company that always does what it sets out to achieve. You look at the track record of Oil Search. From the initial buying the BP asset at Hides, They made a plan to buy the Chevron asset. They executed that, and they planned to monetize gas, and that was done. So Oil Search is an achieving company.
Oil Search is on the cusp of major new growth, and in the process it will lose its status as PNG's only oil and gas producer. Sometime in 2014, the PNG LNG project will commence exports. ExxonMobil will be the operator and Oil Search the second biggest equity holder.
If you want to find big oil, and when I say big oil, I'm talking 300, 400, 500 million barrels in any scale, that's a good resource, then you probably do have to look at overseas. And we have a number of opportunities in places like Kurdistan, where we've recently had an oil discovery, where the size and shape of those resources could be very material to the company. So although we focus very firmly on what we've got in Papua New Guinea, our production base in Papua New Guinea is very quickly going to be dominated by PNG LNG and the gas business overall. But balancing that, we'd like more oil. Well, it's transformational for us. I mean, it provides us with, it quadruples our production base sometime from the first full year of production in 2015. We'll be producing somewhere between 28 and 29 million barrels of oil equivalent per year. This year we're producing about 6.5. So when you look at the cash flow that comes from that and our ability to deliver rewards to shareholders through dividends, our ability to drive further expansion opportunities in the country and elsewhere, what it does do, it adds 30, 40 years of life to our business. Right. And that's a significant change to when Chevron, before they left, anticipated that the oil fields would stop production sometime in 2012-13. We now have 40 more years plus of life in our business here. We're spending a lot of money this year, somewhere around $250 million, so 500 million kina, let's say, in country looking for new resources, both oil and gas. We've got another oil field that we hope to develop in PNG later this year at Mananda, which will be material in bringing more oil into our business in 2015-16, hopefully. And we also will be looking for in new areas such as the offshore. Right now we have a very large semi-submersible drill rig sitting about 30 minutes flying south of Port Moresby, drilling some offshore holes for the first time. Offshore drilling's been taking place in the country for around 9 years. So Oil Search's future is very much tied up with Papua New Guinea's future, its past and future. And our history has had some challenging times, and our future is extremely bright, as is the future of the country. So I think if there's one dynamic that changes us from others, it's our people.
It's your people.
So PNG's got a very sophisticated process in its laws and its regime about how those benefits should be distributed. But I say, unfortunately, it hasn't been the most efficient way to make up for that, and having people on our side, because we can't operate in the field without our communities wanting us to operate. I don't believe you can build a fence around your operation and effectively isolate your operation, and that's not effective if you don't have the communities working with you. So I suppose the most important thing for us has been trying to put back something into the communities in our areas, and we do that in many, many ways. We obviously employment of local people through our landowner companies, business development opportunities, training opportunities, employment opportunities directly with Oil Search and its contractors, as well as some of the softer issues like health programs. We set up our health foundation, the Oil Search Health Foundation, last year because we'd built up expertise within the organisation on specifically community health issues such as malaria control and eradication, TB, HIV/AIDS management, all of which we saw as challenges in our local communities in the oil fields. And having built that expertise to look after our local communities, we saw that could be extrapolated across the rest of the country. And now we're working in 9 provinces around the country, doing major HIV/AIDS management programs, health education, child maternal health issues, HIV/AIDS I've mentioned, malaria, etc. They're the sorts of things that as a large PNG company we should be putting back into the community and like to do it on a much larger scale.
Stay tuned for more of Resource PNG. Oil Search's success in discovering oil fields is attributed to the technical human resource base. In this segment, we featured some of these key people. We then finish off with a commentary from Greg Anderson, Executive Director of the Chamber of Mines and Petroleum.
Oil and gas is genuinely found in the minds of people, the minds of our technical people who can work out where it might be, the minds of our people who can put together programs in drilling and evaluating the rocks. And our people that work for Oil Search, in my view, are world-class people. We have some very, very good people who work structural geology, who work specific technical issues which are designed in PNG or for PNG environment. In over 20 odd years that I've been involved here, there have been some bad times, challenging times for the company and for the country. And whether we like it or not, Oil Search's future is very much tied up with Papua New Guinea's future.
Papua New Guineans hold many key positions in Oil Search. Reporting directly to Mr. Botten is Geria Alpi, Executive General Manager, External Affairs and Sustainability and Executive Director. Other individuals hold key technical and managerial positions, including Mapia Olewale, who heads up the Hides operations, with his back-to-back Moses Guva. Other senior managers based in Port Moresby office include Willie Kupo, General Manager, External Affairs, and Mrs. Linda Griffin, Manager of Human Resources PNG, Leon Buskins, General Manager of Finance PNG, and Michael Viari, General Manager of Commercial and Legal PNG. The company's petroleum engineering department is headed up by a long-time employee, Fiona Smare.
Right, so I oversee all the petroleum engineers that work in the field and the laboratory chemists as well, and our well integrity engineers that look after the integrity of our wells that we produce. So basically oversee all of them. On a daily basis, we look at just optimizing production from our existing wells and also from our new wells that we bring online after drilling. And that's production and gas injection as well as water injection. And on the chemistry side, with the lab chemists, we look after the quality of our sales products, like our crude that we export, the refinery fuel gas that we use, the jet fuel and diesel for the projects. So the lab takes care of the quality of our sales product. And our well integrity engineers basically look at ensuring that we can produce our oil safely through our wells and through the pipelines. I've worked for Oil Search for about 10 years now. When Oil Search took over the assets in PNG, the Chevron assets in PNG, I pretty much started working with them then from 2003. And the highlights of my career, I suppose, with Oil Search as well is I went from being petroleum engineer in the field. 2006, I went and spent a couple of years in Sydney and was a reservoir engineer for close to 4 years. And then I came back into the field just in preparation for us getting into gas production. We took a little bit more risk in some areas, but they paid out, in terms of we found new areas that were, even with Chevron, the confidence was 50-50 whether we would get some good oil production from there. And it ended up that we took the risk and it became successful, and we were able to basically add more oil to that sort of production profile.
The US multinational Chevron produced oil in PNG in the decade commencing in 1992, before these operations were taken over by Oil Search. PNG is on the cusp of a new era with the PNG LNG project led by ExxonMobil to commence LNG production and exports next year, following an ambitious $19 billion development. In the last decade, new gas projects are being considered for additional LNG productions as well as production of condensate, a light crude oil.
It took a century of exploration before PNG first discovered and began to produce crude oil in 1992. That discovery by Chevron New Guinea created a great deal of euphoria that further discoveries would be made in the Fold Belt area that encompasses the Lake Kutubu area in Southern Highlands Province. But that was not to be. Papua New Guinea oil production has been on a steady decline from the early years, when a single oil field produced 150,000 barrels a day. Even though smaller discoveries were made in subsequent years at Moran, Gobi and southeast Mananda, oil production today has fallen to around 30,000 barrels a day. It would have declined much further except for the success Oil Search has had in proving up additional reserves at these fields. Most recently there has been a significant additional reserves discovered at Mananda. The outlook is about to change in the coming year with the start of production of natural gas by the ExxonMobil-led PNG LNG project. Over the estimated LNG project's 30-year life, condensate, which is similar to light crude oil from Kutubu, will also be produced from the gas fields at an average of 20,000 barrels a day and channeled through the current oil pipeline to the Kumul offshore terminal for export to PNG's traditional markets. In recent years, exploration companies have been making new gas discoveries, and it is clear PNG is gas prone. The country is fortunate that some of these discoveries include recoverable quantities of condensate. These fields are referred to as wet fields. Most significant of these has been the discovery of the elk and antelope fields by the Interoil in the Gulf Province. At present, Interoil is in discussion with ExxonMobil and possibly some other parties about use of the gas for production of LNG. The industry is hopeful that an agreement will be concluded in the coming year, paving the way for production of additional quantities of condensate for export. Other exploration companies are also assessing various gas discoveries for possible development. The leader in this regard is Horizon Oil and its key partners Talisman Energy, Japan's Mitsubishi Corporation and Osaka Gas. Horizon has submitted an application to the Department of Petroleum and Energy for the conversion of its Petroleum Retention Licence 4 into a Petroleum Development Licence. Once this is approved, the company proposes to develop its Stanley gas condensate field. The field is located some 270 kilometres from the coast and 40 kilometres north of the river port at Kiunga in Western Province. Horizon is keen to develop this field initially to produce an estimated 4,000 barrels of condensate a day and is targeting the gas for a major power station that could provide electricity to the Oktedi mine, Kiunga and to remote surrounding villages in Western Province. This is an exciting project that will speed up the pace of social and economic development in Western Province. Horizon Oil and its partners have two other gas fields in Western Province, near to Stanley, at Alavala and Ketu, that it hopes to develop subsequently. While the condensate can easily be exported to world markets, there is an expectation that this gas could be used as feedstock for a future LNG project. Development of Stanley has the potential to enhance PNG's industrial value, adding capacity with condensate barge for processing at Interoil's Napa Napa refinery in Port Moresby. Since its construction a decade ago, as the largest single downstream industrial investment in PNG, the Interoil refinery has provided this country with a secure source of petroleum products at a time of great volatility in international markets. Processing of condensate from local operations would enhance the economic value of Napa Napa to the PNG economy, since much of the crude oil it now uses is imported from Southeast Asia. Since production began in 2003, Napa Napa has established itself as one of PNG's important industries, with export revenues of around 500 million kina, making petroleum products the nation's sixth largest export item. These developments show clearly that PNG's oil and gas sector is going through an exciting phase, although in the immediate future, all of this will be overshadowed by the tremendous impact created when exports commence next year from the $19 billion PNG LNG project.
That ends Resource PNG. I hope you enjoyed our special feature on oil production in PNG, brought to you by the PNG Chamber of Mines and Petroleum. If you have any comments or queries, do email us on this address, resourcepng@mtv.com.pg, or to find out more, check MTV online, that's www.mtv.com.pg, and go to our Resource PNG page, or you can check our page on Facebook. Thanks for your company. Bye for now.